undertook over the past recess, focusing principally on the Mideast and on Europe. My group arrived in Jerusalem on December 26, late in the evening on Friday, and the next day the hostilities arose in Gaza. I had an occasion to discuss this matter with a number of officials in Israel and also with Prime Minister Fayyad of the Palestinian Authority. As is well known from the news reports, the Israeli action was taken in response to shelling by Hamas on Israel over a protracted period of time. Israel's action was legal under international law. Article 51 of the United Nations Charter expressly recognizes the right of self-defense under circumstances where a nation is attacked, and that was the factual matter there. In speaking to Israeli President Peres and Israeli Prime Minister Olmert, the point was made that Israel was taking this action only as a last resort to protect Israeli citizens. It is highly significant that the Palestinian Authority, which has had its differences with Hamas, has backed the Israeli position. We had a discussion with Palestinian Authority Prime Minister Fayyad, who said that the Palestinian Authority was convinced that Israel had acted properly and that the Palestinian Authority would do what it could to maintain quiet within the Palestinian Authority's jurisdiction in the face of any demonstrations which might occur. It is worth noting that Egypt has backed the Israeli action, noting the aggressive stand taken by Hamas, and that Saudi Arabia, too, has noted Hamas's inappropriate conduct. We visited in Vienna with Ambassador Schulte and discussed at some length the International Atomic Energy Agency's efforts to conduct inspections on what is going on in Iran with respect to any efforts by Iran to create a nuclear weapon. A year ago, I had the opportunity to meet with IAEA Director Mohammed El-Bardeh. He was out of town when we were there, and I had a conversation with him by telephone on the issue as to the efforts by the IAEA to conduct the inspections, and at the moment Iran is not cooperating, and further international action needs to be taken to be sure that Iran does meet its obligations under international agreements and that there are adequate safeguards to prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapon. When we were in Syria, Iran's activities on that subject were discussed with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. On the Iranian subject, President Assad urged that action be taken to try to get the inspections, and that would be a more productive line than challenging whatever rights Iran had asserted. In our discussions with President Assad, the subject of a potential Israeli-Syrian peace treaty was discussed. The Syrians have made it plain that they are interested in a return of the Golan Heights. Now, only Israel can decide for herself whether they're willing to give up the Golan with respect to whatever strategic advantage the Golan may have. Obviously, it is a different world strategically today than it was in 1967 when Israel captured the Golan Heights. It is my view that there could be substantial advantages for Israel in terms of Syrian concessions in a number of directions to leave Lebanon as a sovereign nation without efforts to destabilize Lebanon, withdrawing any Syrian support from Hezbollah and also from Hamas. When we discussed with President Assad the issue of Hezbollah and Hamas, he said if the Palestinian issue could be resolved, that those other matters would fall into place. There is also the potential advantage of trying to move Syria away from the influence of Iran. That is not an easy matter, but if there were to be an Israeli-Syrian peace treaty, and I think that can happen only with a United States participation, that we would be, the prospects would be present of improving that situation, trying to separate Syria from Iran. In Brussels, we had a meeting with General Craddock, who is the NATO commander there, discussed a variety of subjects as are described in a more extensive report, which I will ask be made part of the record. And with respect to our discussions with General Craddock, the key point was the issue of what is going on in Afghanistan. General Craddock made the point that there cannot be a military victory in Afghanistan, but the military can be successful in securing the situation, but that there will have to be improvements in the Afghanistan government in dealing with the people of Afghanistan. And General Craddock commented that he thought it would be a protracted period of time where we would have to have NATO forces, substantial forces in addition to those provided by the United States to find a resolution of the issues in Afghanistan. I was accompanied on my trip by my legislative director, Chris Bradish, by military escort Phil Scuda, and by Dr. Ronald Smith, all of whom did an excellent job. And a very comprehensive trip report has been prepared by Mr. Bradish, and I now ask unanimous consent that that trip report be included in the congressional record as if stated in full on the floor.
Without objection, so ordered.
I thank the chair, and I know that Senator Coburn is near the floor and should be appearing shortly, but until he does, I suggest the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll of the Senate.
Mr. Akaka.